It's what I've always wanted.
Steve's got the stars.
Got a big old cushy chair. It's nice.
Today, Premiere Week keeps rolling with late-night legend Jay Leno.
How about that?
Plus Jordan Sparks. And coming Friday, Charlie Sheen and a performance by Leanne Rimes.
It's all new and it's gonna be big.
And it's all on Steve.
New York, weekdays at 2 on NBC4, New York.
Are you ready to unapologetically unleash your bold and define your life, money, and business? Define You radio class is in session with host the Southern Belle of Bold, Valencia Griffin-Wallace, brings you the stories behind the glory. Hear from women and men who decided that life didn't define them. They were going to define themselves. Pen and papers ready. Class is now in session.
Hello, and welcome everyone to Define You Radio classes in session. I'm excited and a little sad to announce that tonight's Sunday show, which is Define You Radio's last part of the Healing You series, but I'm closing out with a great guest. If you've been keeping up with the show, we're making some changes to make it better for you and for me, and just increase the whole experience of Define You Radio, including a surprise new intro. I know you guys love the song. I mean, who doesn't love my intro? But we have a new intro that you guys will hear starting in June. So with that being said, I'm your host, Valencia Griffin-Wallace. And if this is your first time listening, welcome to class. You can connect with the show at defineyouradio.com. Like I said, we have a powerful show tonight, and classes in session with our guest, Latonya Smiley. We're talking about the F word. Now, get your minds away from wherever it went, because it's not that F word. We're talking about a harder word, forgiveness. Yeah. I want you guys to think about, who do you need to forgive? Do you need forgiveness yourself? Forgiveness is always a touchy topic because we think we've forgiven people, and this includes me, when you really haven't. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Latonya in case you didn't catch her first appearance on the show, and I will link that appearance in the show notes so you can go back and listen to when she was on the show before. She is a speaker, an author. She is also the founder of Eve's Roses. It's an organization that empowers survivors of incest and domestic violence. She's an awesome person. She's also one of the fabulous speakers on the Sister Cypher Tour, which is hosted by Embrace Your Cake. To find out more about that, you can visit my website at valenciagwallace.com. We will be in Jacksonville, Florida, June 24th? Latonya, you
no,
don't have
the
to.
10th.
It's the 10th. Okay. I was like 95% sure of that. With that being said, guys, let's go ahead and welcome Latonya to the show.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Southern Belle, my sister Valencia. Thank you for having me on the show again. I'm excited about tonight's topic and all that we're going to discuss on tonight. It's always a pleasure speaking with you, and I hope everyone is having an amazing evening. I want you to prepare your minds for this powerful segment on forgiveness.
You dropped about 4 or 5 mics with the last couple of statements, because it's, forgiveness is hard. We could always learn how to do better. So I'm very excited about the show, and my Sunday was going great, and now we're experiencing what I call hurricane rain.
Mm-hmm.
And but in Louisiana around this time of year, we're kind of used to that random sun out, for 1 minute, next minute it's like rain and wind and everything. So the weather is kind of crazy here, but you know, I am the Southern Belle, so I'm used to that Southern crazy weather here.
Mm-hmm.
So, Latonya, go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about you in case they didn't catch you on your first appearance.
Okay, so I am Latonya Smiley. I am CEO and Executive Director of Ease Roses, which is a mentoring organization for survivors of child sexual abuse. We mentor them past the residue that plagues our life after we have gone through such a traumatic event. I am also a minister. I am a motivational speaker. I am an author. Most of all, I am a mother and a wife.
Congratulations on all the roles. And I want to congratulate you and applaud you for what you do to help others. And if you want to go ahead and get into maybe a little bit about why you were moved to start Eve's Roses.
Okay, so Eve's Roses was birthed, I'll say, from it was my purpose, but it was birthed through my pain of being molested by my dad from the ages of 9 through 13, resulting in a pregnancy. After he molested me, my life just took a turn. You know, my wings was clipped early in life, and I went through a domino effect of some things that just had, because my life was shooken up, I became a teenage mom. I became a high school dropout. My esteem was low. It had to be because I had several bouts of domestic violence, which at this point in my life I will not tolerate. So it was just so many negative things because I had this chip on my shoulder that said, I do what I want. This is just the way I am. In my broken state, it was sort of like, mess with me if you want to, and you're going to get all of this negativity that I have for you. Because I felt that because I was abused, that it was okay for me to abuse others. And it just became one thing after another. Like, I just treated people nasty because I felt that it was okay because I was abused. So now I'm the abuser, so to speak, but not a sexual abuser, causing friendly fire, I like to call it. Friendly fire is when you are I'm hurting those that I should be embracing. That's what I'll say. But because I'm so broken, I don't even realize that I'm spitting venom, you know?
Understood.
That's deep right there.
that girl, so deep.
That was
I like that friendly fire, and I like that. When I say I like that, like I understand exactly what you're saying, and it's almost like it was a butterfly effect, right? And I've been throwing that term around a lot lately because we look at one small thing in our life. Well, I don't want to say small, but how one event in our life, the ripples of it, it affects everything. And
right.
At least, you know, everything is kind of like not the foundation or the root, but I guess you could use those words. But the funny thing is you don't know how different your life would have been had that not happened. But you see it as go ahead, hon.
And the harder thing about it is that not only the ripples, it is now we have this broken little girl that is still broken in your adult life because she never got a chance to be a little girl. So that little girl is the part that you sort of spend the rest of your life healing her, so to speak.
That is 100% true. And I know in your organization, because you deal with men, women, children, like who does your organization help?
everybody who has been through child sexual abuse. We help women who have survived child sexual abuse. We help men who have been molested as well. We do educational teachings for parents and in the schools to help those to show signs of abuse so that we can help prevent it. So we help just about everybody. Whoever has been through molestation and needs help, that's who our target is. It has no age. You know, first I thought that we can deal with the old women, but then no, the youth in the ages are getting younger and younger. So it's really about just meeting that need, whatever that need is, because there's so many facets of molestation. I never know what it's going to be. I don't never know what I'm poaching them past. I don't never know what I'm preventing, because it's so much bigger than what I ever imagined that it was.
From what you've seen, do you think men and women deal with it differently? Like, what's the differences you see with how women deal with being violated in those ways versus men? What's the differences?
So the difference is based on the person. Most women who are violated, they deal with it in a shameful way. I know women who try to move on in their lives and they don't want to confront it. And so here you are, and you're trying to have a healthy relationship, but nobody wants to address the elephant in the room until you confront it. Like I told you in the first, until you pull back that rug and let's clean under this carpet, you're never going to have a healthy relationship. You can't. How can I lay next to my husband who I love dearly and he doesn't know this part of me? I'm trying to cover it up, but it keeps seeping out. It's like having a trash can, and you done put some, the trash can has dirty diapers and leftover food in it for years. How do you think that smells? It has to smell like where New York City sanitation dumps the trash after a while, and it's seeping through your pores, because I always say what's in my heart is going to flow from my heart. So what scent am I letting off? The residue. My husband needs to know why when he walks in the house, if he touches me a certain way, I may jump or something like that. He needs to know because we have triggers. Victims of child sexual abuse, we have triggers. So our triggers is what reminds us that we have been molested. And it's not always it's like a thorn in our side, you know what I'm saying? But for me, I wear it. That's one of my badges of honor, that's like one of my medals. This is what I overcame. Men deal with it, they handle it two ways. They either become homosexual or they do drugs and alcohol. They end up in prison because they become overly aggressive, end up getting arrested for whatever it is because they're acting out. And like I said, males and females, they have two different ways. Even women that think they are men, a lot of times they have been molested, and I just see that a lot too. So we have to deal with that root and extract that root so that we can address the issue.
That's very, very interesting, and I'm sure with men. And I don't know, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure with men, there's more shame than with a woman.
It's more shame for a man because he is the man. So for him to be violated, first of all, he's like, how could he even share that? How could he share that with his woman and still be the man of the house to her? How much courage it takes for a man? It takes a lot of courage for anyone, but for a man to share that and still be looked upon as a man, especially if he's been penetrated. Let's just be real. It's so many different. Yes, he could have been fondled. Somebody could have, touched his private. But if he's been penetrated, could you imagine? How could he feel masculine at that point? And say to his wife, I was molested, without the fear of her being like, oh, you a sissy. You know? How? Because the average mind cannot conceive. When men started coming to me telling me that they was molested, I could not even wrap my mind around what they were saying because it was enough for me to embrace what had happened to me. But when I realized that this is so much bigger, but then when I went to the Bible, it's nothing new under the sun.
Right.
That's what Sodom and Gomorrah was about. You know, so sodomy has been around forever. But for a man, for him to come out of his place of safety and entrust that to you, I was molested, that's a big deal.
Wow. And if you watch, like, Greek movies, I guess that's the genre of movie you would call it, even like in 300, right? In 300, there's a part where Leonidas says something about the Athenians, I think, being boy lovers in one part of the movie, and that stuck out. And if you watch like movies like that, you know, it's like they have these boys or barely teenage boys as their, I don't know what's the word to use, but that was a part of that society, and it was normalized then. And it's crazy things that you pay attention to in movies or things like that other people don't pay attention to. Now, kind of to shift a little bit, just very little, I remember having that conversation with my husband and telling him about my childhood sexual abuse. And I debated on, it's important that your mate knows, so he understands when, you know, like you said, when you don't touch me this way or don't touch me that way. But I debated on even having that conversation with him because my abuser is a relative of mine that is still living. Excuse me. So I had to debate because I didn't want my husband to, if he's ever around this person, feel like he's, I'm going to protect my wife. I know you did this to my wife situation. So I had debated with that, and I could tell you honestly, which is, really kind of even going with the show of forgiveness. We'll get into that, but I avoid this person at all costs. And I could count on one hand how many times I've seen this person in the last 20 years of my life, because I avoid, like, before I go to family gatherings and things like that, I will ask if he's going to be there, and my family knows. I will tell them, well, I'm not coming because I'm not going to put my husband in the situation. And my son, I remember having this discussion with him when he made about 18 or 19 years old. And that was a hard thing to do. But I would rather have a conversation with him than me write a book and he read about it and then come to me and, Mom, why you didn't tell me this? Why you didn't tell me that? So that, I am very mindful of where the violator, quote unquote, is versus my husband and my son. Because first and foremost, with your husband and your children, they're always on protect mode. And they may not remember it every day, but if they're put in a situation, they will think about it then, and you don't know.
And that's why I always say God does things well. God's timing is excellent. For my father to have died prior to me getting married, and I got married in 2013. My father died 2012, November of 2012. For him to die when he did, that's how I say God's timing is best, because my husband is a man who wears our last name of Smiley. But when it comes to his wife and when it comes to his kids, it just wouldn't have been a good thing. It just,
right.
it would have put him in a space of he knows what my father did to me, and you on any given day, it probably wouldn't have had nothing to do with something. Maybe just the wind blew the wrong way. It could have ended up really bad. So, yes, our husbands are our protectors, and that's why it's good for us to tell them, to share them. And to take that burden, the thing is to become unburdened with things that plague us. We have to learn how to become unburdened. And if you holding stuff in and you're not releasing and you're allowing the devil to hold stuff over your head, that is burdening you. And burdens make you lose your edges, girl. We can't do that. You know, burdens make your hair fall out. They cause clogged arteries in the heart. They cause so many diseases. Cancer grows from burdens. Girl, I got to let them burdens go, because what do you do with a heart attack? What do you do? I'm too young for that. I'm trying to live a long life, and I find that the more things I let go and the more forgiveness that I give out, the more my skin glows, the more my edges come back, the more my, the more, because that's important. You don't always want to wear a weave. You want to have your edges. You want your skin to be glowing. I don't want bags under my eyes because I didn't sleep good, because I'm burdened by something. And I've learned that prayer changes everything. When you get up off of your knees, you're supposed to be unburdened. And if you're walking around with burdens, that means that you're not trusting God. And that's a problem.
And kind of adding a little bit to that, you feel free. Because I did not want to walk around carrying a secret or a shame that wasn't mine to carry from this man who I'm committing the rest of my life to.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that really women and men, if you can't tell the person you're marrying, if you can't unburden them a little bit, if you can't share something like that with them, you really need to question, is this the person that you need to be marrying? And those are my thoughts on that. I don't want, like I said, especially with me writing, I didn't want my son to read that. And this is not a discussion we had. And we just, within, I want to say maybe a year or two ago, because he's 20 now. So maybe a year or two ago, we talked about it. And that was harder talking to him than it was my husband. But I felt better once I talked to my son about it, because that's I wanted him to understand why mama kind of been protective over you, and why we don't do this with the family, or so on and so forth. Everything kind of made sense to him then when we had that discussion. And it was, but that was a hard discussion, because you want your kids to look at you as being, mama's strong, and mama's still strong. But I had to have that conversation with him and let him know that this is part of mama's pain that she had to deal with. But that was a hard discussion to have with him more than it was with my husband.
Yeah, well, I had told my kids while I was writing the book, I told them, because I didn't want them to pick up the book and read it in the book without knowing what was going on. So I told them, like, right before the book got ready to release, before when I realized I'm going to write this book, I said, well, let me have a conversation with them. And it was also, I needed them to forgive me for some things that they didn't understand. I never sat them down and explained to them why I wasn't mentally capable of raising. My 3 older children were raised by their grandmother, so I needed for them to understand some things about me, because I needed them to forgive me the way I needed to forgive my mother, so that our relationship could mend, because I wasn't always this tower of strength that people see. I was a runner. So soon as things got heated, in any situation, I would run. After my father molested me, I left home. I started having these babies. But I'm a child, and I'm not ready to be a mother. You know, I'm getting beat. I just have so much going on in my world, in my mind, that their grandmother was like, you know what, I'm just going to keep them, because you can't just keep uprooting them and moving from one place to another. Like, I would just leave. Like, don't worry about no clothes or nothing. Me and whoever got into it, I'm out. And that was I was a runner. So I'm glad that I can honestly say that my feet are planted now. You know, I'm my husband, I don't even feel the need to run anymore. I wish that some of the things that I have ran from in life, that I would have stood flat-footed and nipped it in the bud right then and there. But even I think that when I first got married, I may have packed a bag. My husband was like, where you going? No, where you going? He's like, where you going? It was funny because he was like, see, you so used to not dealing that you're ready to go because what? Because we exchanged words, because that's all me and him ever do. We might exchange words and then right back in each other's face because we love each other so much. So it was different for me. I packed a bag out. Where was I going? Because he moved me all the way. I would have had to drive 2 hours to go somewhere to be miserable and then can't get back home. So that's
it's very, life takes you through some cycles. It's very interesting how life turns out, and at one point in time you feel like you're rooted in pain. So, and congratulations to finding love and not packing up and running.
I know.
So I want to ask you, what is your definition of forgiveness?
My definition of forgiveness is to release someone from paying a penalty. That is my definition of forgiveness. To release someone from paying a penalty.
I didn't even Google the definition of forgiveness, but I'm pretty sure that's what it says. And that's...
I don't know if it says it exactly like that, because I know it says to let go, to not... I can't even remember the Webster's Dictionary version, but that's what I get from it, to relieve someone of a penalty. And when we say that, I'll never forgive you for that. I'll never forgive you for that. And that means that I'm never going to let you live down what you did for me. I'm going to always hold that over your head. You know how because I know that we've all done it as women, and our boyfriends have done something to us. I'm saying our boyfriends because I hope everyone has a healthy marriage and we're not doing it. But we will remind him of what he did. He did it 20 years ago, and every time you get mad. Now, he done bought you diamonds, you done got the car, the house, you done got the baby, everything. And most of all, you know that you have his heart. But you keep throwing that one thing that he did 20 years ago in his face, because you won't forgive him. When are you going to release that penalty? You might not ever get that. As if they could ever pay the penalty. No one could ever replace my innocence. That wasn't like somebody stole my bicycle and I needed a bicycle to be replaced. So to forgive means to let someone be free of a penalty. Let them pass through and become unburdened. And we all need to be forgiven at some point. I need to be forgiven for something. How could I say, Valencia, you're making a big deal about that? Because you act, you're making a big deal. And you're like, I don't know, Tanya. I don't know if I can forgive you for that. Seriously, Valencia? You can't forgive me for that? You're going to hold that over me? Yes, I am. Because I don't want to I don't want to release you from this penalty. And that's what happened.
What helped you forgive?
What helped me to forgive is when you really sit with yourself and you think about forgiveness. And I really have to say what helped me forgive had to be the Holy Spirit, because there's no way in my own might would I have forgiven. The type of person that I was, that I was that chick, like, what? Like, I'm not letting it go. I'm not forgiving that. Like, you're going to die with this, and I'm going to, like, write it on your tombstone after underneath the dash, and I'll be like, remember you did this, So, I that's the type of person that I was. So it had to be God who allowed me to see that, for one thing, I'm never going to reach my true potential if I don't forgive. And another thing is that he showed me that he forgives me every day for my thoughts, for my deeds, for my actions. And another thing that he has taught me, and I tell people all the time, there are no levels to forgiveness. There's no big forgiveness, little forgiveness. That's like, it's no big lie, no little lie, no big sin, no little sin. Sin is sin, a lie is a lie, and forgiveness is forgiveness. And I'm not saying that forgiveness is easy, that it's just, oh, girl, let that go. No, I'm not saying that. As the words leave my mouth, let it go. At that point, I'm praying, God, help me to let it go. Because when you really let something go and you really lift that penalty, that means that you cannot go back. It's like a binding contract. You don't get to go back and dig it up. You let it go, and I don't get to go back. And it's for me. It's not for you. People think forgiveness is for the other person, and it's helping me to be free. It's helping me to move forward in the things that I am assigned to do. Not you. If you hurt me, and I hate you for hurting me, when Judgment Day comes and I go to stand before God, and God says, you didn't show love to Valencia. You think God is going to be like, I'm going to say, yeah, because Valencia, she did such and such, and I couldn't let it go. No, I'm not responsible for what Valencia did to Tanya. I'm responsible for how Tanya responds to what Valencia does. That goes to confusing the enemy. Because, see, what the devil meant for evil, he don't know that in my forgiving you, I'm going to be able to love you past your pain. It might be my assignment so that I gave you a pass on that penalty. I don't want you to do that to anybody else because it may not have the same outcome. So I'm forgiving you so you can learn your lesson. Don't do that again. That's not nice because you may not know. A lot of times people need to be forgiven. They don't know that they need to be forgiven because they've been flowing in that all their life. They don't even know it's wrong. If you don't check me and be like, look, sis, that was messed up what you did. Because when you got a pack of pigeons running around in a broken state co-signing everybody, each other's mess, who want to be like, yo, you shouldn't have did that. I'm not coming to you. I'm not coming to have no pity party with you. Yo, Key, you was wrong. We need that. But that's maturity. You got to get there.
Yeah, that's a whole other level of forgiveness. Because I'm going to be honest, something recently happened. I want to say maybe last week or maybe the week before. And it was so crazy and so random. But I was saying about the person who violated me as a child and how I could count on one hand how many times I've seen this person. And I've always said, I've forgiven them. I've forgiven them because if I would not have forgiven him, he wouldn't even be living. So that's how I know. And that's what I would say. And I repeated it. And it sounded true. It sounded right. It sounded, mature and elevated and everything else. It sounded to me. Because, I felt like because he's still living, I felt like I forgave him. Even though, it was I know that was crazy to say, but it made sense. And that's what I've been saying all these years. I've never had to deal with this person. Anytime I ran across him, it was like he was invisible. He didn't exist. He wasn't there. But last week, or either week before last, completely random, I'm at the dollar store around the corner from my house. Now, I live way outside where the majority of my family live. So when I tell you I ran across this man in a dollar store, I took a breath, right? It was like completely random. Like, let's say somebody you went to middle school with 2 states over and you run across them in a dollar store or something. It was kind of like that type of random thing. And so I took a breath and I spoke, because we recognized each other, but even though we hadn't seen each other in forever. And I said we had like a brief conversation, but it wasn't so much what was said, it was how I felt that made me realize, wow, I have passed a point in my life I never thought I passed, because I finally saw him, was in a small space with him, and I didn't feel that I could choke you out anymore. You know, and to me that was huge, because I would say I would forgive him, but being in the same room with him years previously, I would feel anger still, and still feel like I want to tell him off, and you know, I just need to get it out my system and embarrass him and do all of this kind of stuff. You know, even though I was saying I forgave this person, but 2 weeks ago I realized that I really passed that point, because I didn't feel that way. My feelings actually matched up to the word forgiveness. And that was huge. That was huge for me. If you ran across, you know, and I know your dad has passed, but let's say he didn't. Do you think you would have been able to forgive him if he was still alive?
Well, see, that's the thing with him. Now, remember, my mother stayed with my father until he died. So it wasn't like we were in the same space since the incident. Like, we were constantly in each other's space on and off. And the thing about him is that as I got older, he just was, like, taking my kindness for weakness. Like, I'm like, okay, so I gave you a pass on that. Never did it cross my mind to lock him up, to bang him in the head with a hammer, none of that stuff. Like, I'm letting you live, and you constantly coming for me. You know, he would say little stuff like, you got all these boyfriends, and just like throwing darts at me the older I got. Like, before my father passed away, we were really, really on bad terms, worse than any point in my life, because he just, I told him once, he would try to say stuff to me about my kids and how the mother that I was being to them. And I was like, did you forget what happened to me? And he was like, what does that matter? You know, and I'm like, oh, you real cocky. Like, that was a big obstacle for me, because at that point I felt that you did that, and now you think that you could just do anything and say anything because I done gave you a pass. You know, so, again, we're not responsible for how people respond when we forgive them, because I feel that had he been a little nicer, had he really, really cleaned his heart, I really feel that God would have let him live. But because me forgiving him was suffocating me, and I was trying to do the right thing by him, I think that God just went on ahead and just went on ahead and canceled that contract, because, see, she trying to be nice to you, and you really, 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 really taking her there. So I'm just going to go ahead on and just deal with you, because it was it was like, I'm just like, how you hate me? Like I violated you, you know, like I abused you, you know. And you're gonna get that in forgiveness. Some people you're gonna forgive, and then they gonna give you they butt the kiss like, that's like I slept with your husband, you forgive me, and now I'm just gonna make you kiss my behind, because that's how people do. So you never know what you're gonna get with forgiveness. So my father, I tried to have that daddy-daughter relationship with him even after the heart wants what the heart wants, and I didn't fall from the sky. I came from my parents, and every child wants their parents to love them. Every child wants a relationship with their parents. Every daughter wants her father, and she wants a relationship with her mother. And that's just the reality of it. And people can be like, that's not true, but it is true. I didn't fall from the sky. So even though I have my husband, there's some days where that little girl still wants her mother and her father.
And that kind of addresses my next question, because I think a lot of people think that, I could forgive them if they admit what they did. Their forgiveness comes with a condition. And a lot of times people don't admit what they did. They don't acknowledge it. Like, to them, it didn't happen. But that really has nothing to do with your actions, I guess, as a person that's supposed to forgive them. So I think that's real interesting. Forgive and forget. Does it exist?
But you know what? And I'm going to just be honest with you. Depends on what it is. You're supposed to, people say forgive and forget. I didn't get that part of the Bible. I know that, he separates it from as far as the east is from the west. But let me tell you something. When you are really, really, your relationship is right with God, God will erase some things from your mind. And you'll be like, because I don't remember the particulars of what happened. I know it happened. I have certain, but as the years go on, it gets scarce in my mind because you don't want to take up. I don't need for that to take up space in my mind. And you'll be like, how do you even remember that? That was so minute. But when something hurts you, you will never forget it. How could you forget? I'm not going to forget I was abused. People block it out of their mind when they don't want to confront it. And it just keeps coming up at the wrong time. It's like a child who don't have no home training, and you never know what they're going to say, and they just say stuff at the wrong time and embarrass you. So people block it out their mind. So I'm not going to say that you can't forget. Maybe if you had head trauma, you'll forget. But I'll say that it depends because the freer I become, I don't need it taking up space. No, I will never forget that I've been abused. I won't forget it, but I'm not going to spend my time focusing on that. My focus is on the recovery. So when I'm planning my rescue mission to go back and pull others out, we're not going to sit and discuss what happened. When you go to God, God already knows what happened. If I come to you and say, you know what, let's talk about it. Let's start from here. You did this. You know what you did, so we don't have to discuss it. We just need to work on the recovery. How do we get past this? That's what's important. People get caught up in what happened. I can tell you what happened. You know what you did. I know what I did. Right? Or not. Do we not know? So, people act like you forgot. You didn't forget. But at what point does it not matter? That's the thing. Yes, you may not forget, but does it matter? It doesn't matter what happened in my life. All I want is a relationship with my mother while she's still on this earth. I don't care what she did. No, I won't forget what she did, but I'm not going to throw it in her face. She is released from that penalty so that she can move on. I don't need for her to remember what she keeps throwing it in her face when she knows what happened. I don't have to beat her up with it. Let's focus on the recovery. Focus on the recovery. An alcoholic can't worry about the liquor, right?
Right.
How many drinks he had, he's never going to heal.
when we think about forgiveness and different situations that you may have to apply forgiveness to, what if the offense, so to speak, happens more than once? You know, forgiving someone when something happened one time or a certain time period or something is one thing, but what if some person continuously hurts you? How do you forgive, or what do you do in that situation?
Okay, so you heard that God watch out for the babies and the fools, right?
Yes.
Right? So you, that's like sticking your head in a lion's mouth. If you forgive somebody and they continuously hurt you and you continue to stay in that relationship, it's not them, it's you. And you got to know when it's you. We have to learn healthy relationships. And the reason why people don't know the answer to that question is because what you accept. That's like cyberbullying. There is no such thing. And let me tell you why. If you say something on Facebook that hurt my feelings, and I continue to be your friend, and you keep hurting my feelings, and I ain't block you, and I keep coming back for more, then I like it. And everything that I get is no longer bullying. Tanya allowed it, and she likes it. So it's called therapeutic for her, I guess, if she keeps going there to read Valencia's posts that are offensive, and she thinks that Valencia is bullying her. Right? Is that correct?
I agree.
If they keep hurting you and you keep going back, you need your head checked. They're fine. It's not them, it's you.
I agree. People will do what you allow. And I think, you know, especially if it's repetitive behavior, if someone, you know, they don't care. It's not that they're ignorant to what they're doing or what they've done. They don't care, and you have to work on you, you know? Like the whole thing with forgiveness not being about them, it's about you. It's about you because it's your well-being, your peace of mind, or like you said earlier, your edges and your skin suffering because the person that offended you or that you need to forgive, so to speak, they're sleeping fine. So, yeah, it's very interesting. I know there are stages of grief. Are there stages of forgiveness?
Oh, yeah. Stages of forgiveness is the initial stage of it is the the why did it happen. You have to deal with first you have to deal with what happened. Then you have to deal with why did it happen, and then you have to deal with your emotions of it. Why did it make me feel that way? You know, what part of it is hurting me, and then the last part of it is to let it go. To confront it. Confrontation is a big, you know, it's a book called Crucial Conversations. And I feel that if we would have those crucial conversations, the world would be better because a crucial conversation is a conversation that I'm letting that person know I don't receive the way that you're treating me. I didn't like it. It didn't feel good to me. And I don't want you to do that to me again. I don't know. Maybe we're not supposed to be friends. Maybe we're not supposed to be in a relationship. But we have to be okay by ourselves before we can be any good to anybody else. We have to be okay with ourselves. Before we even go to a relationship, we need to learn how to forgive ourselves. Women are broken, and we're trying to have marriages and kids and be mothers and aunties. We're not good to our shadows, so we don't need to be in a relationship in a broken state. When you need to address those things that you need to forgive yourself for, Forgive yourself. A mother needs to know. Forgive yourself that you didn't do a good job with your kids for whatever reason. For me, I'm just gonna be. I didn't want to be nobody's mother. It's not that I didn't want to be a mother. I wanted to be a mother, but I wanted to be a kid too. So me wanting to be a kid because I was a kid, it outweighed me wanting to be a mother at that time. So we have to be honest. We have to be transparent. No, I wasn't a good sister. I didn't let her wear my stuff. I always made her feel inferior to me. I'm the boss. I'm the baby. I'm the brat. I know that I'm that way, and it's okay. We have to come out of the it's just me, because there's no thing as it's just you. It's just you means that people accept what you dish out, and you don't care about how you treat other people. And we have friends in our circle. That's just the way she is. That's unacceptable.
Right.
That's not just the way she is. She may need to go stand in the corner or not come back to my house or not get in my car, because I'm not going to deal with that's just the way she is. That's unacceptable. And we have to be brave enough to be able to correct someone in their wrong. And don't worry about if they stay in our lives or not. Being a mature person is able to receive criticism from someone, to receive wisdom. God puts someone in your path to protect you. But like our grandparents say, a hard head makes a soft tail, one way or another. So you're going to get it one way or another. Whether you get it early or you get it late, you're going to yield regardless.
Wow. And nail on the head with that. Nail on the head. I know this is something I had to deal with, and I love that you say we have to kind of learn how to deal with us and release some stuff before we have a happy, healthy relationship, because it won't work otherwise. But for the longest time, and I'm sure you could relate, I felt like if I let something go, if I forgave you for when you hurt me or said this to me or did whatever to me, it made me weak. So it was easier for me to harbor this, hate or whatever towards you than forgive you. Because if I forgave you and just let it go, that made me weak. That came with maturity.
Yes, because we're not weak. When I found that my courage was forgiving you and not caring about if you dial my number again. To not be afraid to be by myself. Why do we have to have so many people around us? The more people around you, the more personalities, the more conflict. And I'm not saying that you should be a loner. No, but everybody in your face, everybody, you can't roll by yourself. There was a time when I had so many women around me and there was so much stuff. Never had a peace of mind. But now that I can sit in this house all week, the phone won't ring. I work in customer service, so I'm on the phone 8 hours a day anyway. The phone won't ring. Nobody won't call and check on you to see how you're doing. But that gives me time to put things into perspective. That gives me time to work on my legacy. That gives me time to spend time with God, most of all, to check my heart, to make sure, maybe I just, not sitting here wondering what I did to anybody, but waiting for God to take me to the next level. Maybe he needs me to sit by myself for this moment so that I can hear him and not hear all the noise that everybody else has going on with them. It comes a point in time when the 20 other people that once lived in my head, the 20 other women that once lived in my head, their voices is quiet, So, and that's because I'm unburdened. I done forgave, so I don't have that one. I don't have her in my mind saying we should just go to her door and punch her in the face. I can't wait till I see her. I don't carry that. If you do something to me and I'll go and my husband always knows when something is troubling me. Like, baby, what's wrong? And we speak about it or whatever. And he'd be like, if he says, well, I told you to leave her alone, or well, babe, what you want to do, or whatever it is, that's usually as far as it goes. It's not me calling you, except for this is important. this is a good point too. Only ones that can hurt us is people who we care about, right?
Right.
So if somebody does something to you and it offends you, you gotta think: are you really offended? Do you really care that much about that person to confront that person, or do you just let it go? Because you like, they ain't even on my level. They don't know no better. Most of it is they don't know that no better, and you're not on your level. And a lot of times we cause our own sorrow by trying to hold on to people God doesn't want us to be connected to in the first place. And another reason why you don't go far is because how you trying to forgive your homegirl? I'm trying to forgive you. I just let you, me and you go through something, and I'm so upset that me and you, we got to have this conversation so I can forgive you. And I'm not even forgiving the people. I won't forgive my mother. How could I have a relationship with any other woman on this earth, and I won't mend my relationship with my mother? Are you serious? I'm more concerned, how are we as women, married women, more concerned with our relationships with our mother-in-laws, and you won't mend your relationship with your own mother? Because we don't prioritize. I don't prioritize. We have to fix our own homes before we can have any outside relationship. And that's why it's so much strife, and that's the thing. It's not easy, so people don't want to do it. It's not easy to put a broken family back together. It's not easy to mend a mother-daughter relationship where her daughter was a victim of child sexual abuse and the family was torn apart and all that. That's not easy, so we don't deal with that. We rather go out here and try to have a side relationship. I'm just going to be good. Me and my mother-in-law, we close and sleep good at night. When my mother is at home with her head in the corner because she feels that she didn't protect her daughter, how is that good with you? How is that good with you? How are you good with a man and you cool with his kids and you ain't cool with your own kids? I'm not saying that you're not cool with your kids because some relationships is just going to be what it is. But you're not making the effort to make things right. You're not making that. You're not doing your part. It wasn't for my kids to come after me because they didn't drop themselves off at their grandmother's house to be raised. So it's for me to show them, yes, I disappointed you. Yes, I let you down. But I'm worthy of your love at this point if you would forgive me. And not just forgiveness is an action word. I forgive you. What's the verb in that sentence? It's an action word. It's just like love. Don't tell me you love me and then spit on me. That doesn't make sense. So forgiveness. Mommy, you want me to forgive you, but you still don't keep your word. You still don't make an effort to call me when you have free time to stop by. You don't make an effort for us to mend the relationship. Where's the effort? So that's the thing. What relationships are you trying to save? Are you trying to because remember, if you was a hell raiser all your life and if you look in the rearview mirror and all behind you done blew up everything behind you, what can you really salvage from that? You have to go through them ashes because, yes, you're going to get the beauty for your ashes, but you have to dig through those ashes one by one and see what you really hurt, what was really salvageable in those ashes. Some of it was blown up on purpose. Exactly.
Right.
Yes.
And I love that you said that, and I hope, everybody wrote that down and got something from that. When you talk about forgiving, we won't forgive important relationships. We're worried about some fly-by-night friend or associate or whatever else. And we worried about mending that relationship, and we need to mend relationships of people we actually care about. I love that. You hit the nail on the head on so many levels with that. So thank you for that. With that being said, because we That I told you that hour goes by fast. It really does.
Yes, it does.
Latonya, if people want to connect with you, find out more about you, book you for speaking, what have you, how can they get in touch with you?
So they can go to LatonyaSmiley.com. The website is up. It is beautiful. You can contact me through the website. You can email me at Eves Roses. That's EVESROSES at yahoo.com. You could call me 347-483-4671. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and LinkedIn as Latonya Smiley.
Yay. Well, do you have any, and guys, as usual, her information will be on the show notes, and so you guys could connect with her definitely. Is there any last tip you would like to leave for the audience tonight?
Yes, I have two, actually. The first one is remember to always respect the process. Respect the process and respect your journey. And when I say that, that means that whatever it is that God has placed before you, He has given you what it is that you need to make it through it. What you need to do is to forgive yourself. And when I say forgive yourself, that means do an extensive check of your heart and to make sure your heart is right, because there's some things that you want and there's some levels that you were created to go through, but because you're not unburdened, you can't fly. So I need for you to become unburdened so that you can take off and go to the next level. And it starts with forgiveness. So forgive and keep that F word in the front of your mind.
Yay. Love that. Well, Latonya, thank you so much for coming on tonight. I definitely
thank you for having me.
You're awesome, and I can't wait to see you next month in Jacksonville, Florida. Guys, make sure you connect with her. I know, yes, it's going to be awesome. Guys, to find out more information about the Sister Cypher Tour, it will be in the show notes, and also you could go to my website at valenciagwallace.com. If you enjoyed today's class, make sure you go to Define You Radio's Facebook page, stay connected with the show, and let us know. Who do you need to forgive? Do you need to forgive yourself? Have you really forgiven? These are questions. I'm telling you guys, this was just recently answered for me 2 weeks ago. The F word, it's powerful. With that being said, if you want to learn more about defining your life, join us in Define You Movement, where classes in session 7 days a week. That is on Facebook. As usual, I'm going to close with a quote. To heal a wound, you need to stop touching it. That comes from Unknown. I don't know who did it, but that was a powerful quote. Stop touching it. It'll stop. It'll heal.
That's awesome right there.
I know.
I like that.
Thank you. I know. I'm going to post it on the Facebook page, definitely, because that answers a whole lot of questions. Thank you again, Latonya. You guys have a great Sunday. I will see you next time. Pens and papers down. Class is over.
Bye-bye.
Yay. See you later, hon.
It's what I've always wanted.
Steve's got the stars.
Got a big old cushy chair. It's nice.
Today, Premiere Week keeps rolling with late-night legend Jay Leno.
How about that?
Plus Jordan Sparks. And coming Friday, Charlie Sheen and a performance by Leanne Rimes.
It's all new, and it's gonna be big.
And it's all on Steve.
New York, weekdays at 2 on NBC4, New York.
It's what I've always wanted.
Steve's got the stars.
Got a big old cushy chair. It's nice.
Today, Premiere Week keeps rolling with late-night legend Jay Leno.
How about that?
Plus Jordan Sparks. And coming Friday, Charlie Sheen and a performance by Leanne Rimes.
It's all new and it's gonna be big.
And it's all on Steve.
New York, weekdays at 2 on NBC4, New York.